This is Skoda's first idea of a compact SUV in the BEV segment, and any small compact SUV worth its salt has to have rugged looking wheel arches, which this car obviously has. I do wonder, will the Sportline version have high gloss black around here instead? This is the gap part that is better capable of delivering better efficiency and aerodynamics, but as you can see, it has the added effect of making it look slightly lowered. Now, these black plastic parts could get marked, as does high gloss, so that's a question. This part you'll be familiar with from Enyaq models, so that's made it in a little bit more black plastic going on this part of the first part of the A-pillar. Some versions, if you have a different color roof, this will be black right across the A-pillar into the lower part of the spoiler. I do have an issue with one thing there, I'll get to that in just a second. Despite all the aero qualities of the car, and 0.26 is impressive, the mirrors are still really big on the vehicle, so plenty of visibility around here. Wheel sizes 18 to 21 inch will be the options, and do not worry, the Skoda umbrella remains inside the door. Actually, they've given it a bit of a tweak as well, so it's now grey and you get the Skoda logo on the front, but you won't get wet. There is a space for it on the passenger side as well, so you can flick that between, depending on who's less favourable of getting wet in your house. Roof rails sit on top of the car, handy if you have an active lifestyle, you play sports, things like that, or you might just want to chuck a roof box onto it if you're heading away. Now, as you can see, the spoiler on the car is quite large, again adding aero qualities. But this housing part and here is also hard plastic, which makes me think Skoda are saving the black high gloss for the Sportline version of the vehicle. And why wouldn't they? All the essential electronic elements are behind here and hidden. So you still get that crystal face look with a daytime running light strip across the front, even better at nighttime obviously. If you go for the Matrix headlights, there are 23 different LED bulbs behind this indicator sweep, which gives you a lovely smooth effect when the car is indicating. Just under here, a couple of air curtains, and the main low beam and high beam goes on in this part of your headlight unit. So the final part of information here, the Skoda lettering now across the front of the car, and the angle of the windscreen has changed as well to give you better airflow over the vehicle. There's a real sense of fun inside the Elroq, and the red flecks that you can get on certain wheel trims match the seatbelts. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time in a Skoda production car that we've had coloured seatbelts. I know the Vision 7 has them, but that's not a road production car just yet anyway. So that breaks up the colours of the car. There's a little bit of red stitching going on in the trims and a little bit of stitching on the armrest and the seat. So you get a sense of personality inside the car. Some things that have changed, so the Skoda lettering on the steering wheel is now slightly different. A lot of the physical buttons remain. It's a real bone of contention for some people. So a lot of the options will be activated by the screen here, which has the latest technology and software inside it, but then you have physical buttons down here for shortcuts to things like your climate control if you just prefer to go that way. So there's good options. The driver info screen is now a little bit bigger, giving you a little bit more information in terms of the driver specific stuff like your efficiency, which hopefully is really good. And then we have this larger screen that is fairly center angled. On some cars in the past I've seen it where it's slightly biased towards a left-hand drive vehicle, but this one is sitting very straight in the car. I won't get into all the details on the entertainment and infotainment just now, but there will be obviously all the EU reg settings that you can access here and turn off. There'll be reversing cameras. You can change the ambient lighting in the car, pre-program the air conditioning for a really cold or really warm morning, or perhaps nighttime. You'll be able to activate that with the Skoda app. And the timing can all be done as well for charging at cheaper rates at nighttime. One thing this car has that we haven't seen in a Skoda before is battery thermal management. So if you want to get to a high-speed charger, you want the battery to be at the optimum temperature, you have a couple of options. You can put in your destination as a charger with the inbuilt sat nav, or you can manually override it, and that will help achieve better charging speeds when you get to your charger if the battery isn't at the right temperature. Speaking of temperatures, we now have 2 wireless charging plates here. They're 15 watt if you're using them wirelessly, and they're cooled to keep your device a little bit chilled, but still much faster on a plugged-in cable, so 45 watt if you use 2 of the USB-C options here. A lot of simply clever stuff going on. There's a little button, it's probably hard for you to see here, but just a button now to activate the lower part where you can keep a tag if you want. There is still this car park ticket holder or your pane display ticket holder in the front windscreen. Under the armrest, depending again on little add-on tech bits that you get for the car and storage bits. So we've got a little bin here. Down below, this is like you could put anything you want in there. Glasses, keys, and there's a lid on it to keep things secure and stop them rattling around. And just down here then, where my phone is hiding, you have a couple of cup holders and a center part for holding things like further ID cards and things you might need to get into a car park or stuff like that. A lot of recycled materials inside the car as well, using PET recycled components, so recycled plastic bottles, fish nets from the sea, and just sustainability is an important factor in this electric version of the Skoda Elroq, which is now the Elroq. It's a little bit of a case of, if you've seen a Skoda Elroq from the rear, you have now got an idea of what the Elroq is, just a little bit, ever so slightly squished. Again, probably saving some of the more high gloss plastic for the Sportline version, which again we'll be getting in Ireland, don't worry. A bit of plastic going on here, but some silver, hopefully painted through plastic here as well. Idea being, if you get a scratch, it'll still be a silver scratch. A lot of brands are now doing that. We have these razor sharp rear taillights, the Skoda lettering spaced. As you can see, a wiper, all important wiper. Not all competition for the Elroq gets one of them, worth pointing out. I have the key on me, so let's see, will the boot do its thing? I have tried this off camera today and it only took 3 attempts. It's third time lucky. That's what it is. We've covered the umbrella, but don't fear, the ice scraper is now also coming with the car. It's changed from green to grey now for more sustainable plastics, and it's not where the fuel cap used to be, because if you think about it, when you're charging your Elroq, if you had the ice scraper in the charging port, somebody could come along and nick it and sell it on eBay, and you don't want that to happen. Speaking of charging, you'll be able to get from 0 to 80% in 28 minutes, which is kind of the standard these days. So plenty of charging speed options in the new Elroq. Some really cool stuff in here. This is possibly one of the best boots I've seen in a Skoda car. Why has no one else thought of this? Under the parcel shelf, there is now a net for your Type 2 cable. And you kind of do always want that with you. I know if you charge all the time at home, there'll be that one trip you take and you'll wish you had the Type 2 cable. No more of it rattling around the boot. It's just brilliant. Now, there are different packs that you can get. People in Skoda Ireland always say to me, don't say everything comes with the car, because sometimes it doesn't. So you can work out which is more beneficial for you. There's these shelves that clip into the side of the car. How useful is that? I've seen almost like a bassinet, almost like a hammock that you can get to store extra items that kind of sit on 2 little poles in the edge, because there's so many different nooks and crannies to slot things into. There's a QR code to help you explore the car. If you need a tow bar, you can get an electric release on that. If you do want to store other items, you've got a bit of extra space going on here for more cable. So really, it's 470 litres. It's 150 down on the Enyaq, but Skoda have said that to us loud and proud today, because you mightn't need all that extra space, but still a very usable boot in the compact SUV segment of car. But once again, that is just, why has no one else thought of that until now? And if you've seen that in another car, please do comment down below and let me know. This car obviously getting an electric tailgate and the entry version of the Elroq in Ireland. Hey, really wants to work today. Should also come with that. I'm going to put the key back in the car. Just quit while I'm ahead. When there's so much pressure when you think of these superb and other vehicles from the brand with so much legroom, you kind of wonder, okay, It looks good on the outside, but can they manage to achieve that level of space in the back? And they've done a pretty good job of it. There is plenty of foot room and space for knees, a little bit of curve parts at the back of the seats to help with that, and a good bit of space as well for even taller passengers. Perhaps now if you're over 6 foot, you might struggle with a little bit, but actually the further you sit back into the headrest, the more roof space you're going to get. The beam counters in the Volkswagen Group have managed to get their little mitts on this part, so it's a little bit softer in the front, a little bit harsher in the back. The new Tiguan and Volkswagen Group cars all suffer the same fate at the moment. There are blinds to keep the sun out for kids. You don't need to get your own additional add-on ones. Storage for devices in the back to keep them happy. Perhaps one thing that they could have done here, so the new Skoda Superb, for example, has a tablet holder that pops out here. Nothing like that in the back of this car at the moment. A couple of drinks holders, however, and the angle is good. You're not actually leaning down when you're using this. A little bit of extra loving as well for the back of your legs if you're in the back of the car. And this particular model, and again it depends which version you're going to be buying, but we have climate control with your own individual settings back here and heated seats on the outer two rear. But if you are comparing this car, and I don't want to keep picking on the Volvo EX30, I think it's a really good car, but for space, if you have older sort of 15 to 16-year-olds in your life and you still have to transport them to things until they get out at 18, there is plenty of space back here for them. So people should be happy in the back of the Elroq, passengers, adults and kids alike. I tried to tickle and tie down the Skoda Ireland people to find out exact details on pricing. You can now get the newest version of the Enyaq in Ireland from €47,000 after grants. So this car has to slot in under that. Certainly it has taken some advancement in the last couple of years compared to the Enyaq. Slightly different battery chemistry now, quite a lot of powertrains, but things like the manual override and just any sort of battery preconditioning to enable faster charging, they're things that we haven't seen on the other battery versions of the Skoda thus far, but do come included on this. So the moment so many have been waiting for, starting from €36,545, the new Elroq will be available to order from the 7th of October. Some of the standard equipment for Irish cars include a rear view camera, remote air conditioning, Crew Protect Assist, Side Assist, 13-inch infotainment screen and SmartLink. There's 3 different battery sizes and powertrains, starting from 125 kilowatt for the 50 model. That's the version with a range of 370 kilometres and a price tag of €36,500. Next up is Elroq 60 with a range of 440 kilometres, priced from 38,416. And the Elroq 85 or long range version can achieve 560 kilometres. Remember, this is on a WLTP test and is priced from €42,315. That's after rebates and delivery charges are applied. Unlike most Skoda models, the Sportline version will be offered from the launch. No waiting until next year for that particular trim to be applied, but bear in mind, all deliveries will be from at least April 2025 in Ireland. All versions are rear-wheel drive, but there is an Elroq 85X planned for the latter half of 2025. And the highest charging rate of speed, depending on which version you have, is 175 kilowatt at a DC fast charger. Let me know your thoughts on this new Skoda Elroq. Do you like it? Is it the car that will finally convince you to go electric into 2025? And thank you very much for watching.